Milk Minute.
Are you a fan of Harry Potter or the Game of Thrones movies? Or have you watched She's Dating the Gangster? Or perhaps you are one of the fan of the newest series He's Into Her. But did you know that all of these things mentioned are originally published as a book, and because of their success, they were adopted as a movies or series in the mainstream, which a lot of people love. And most of the time, people who have read the book first cannot avoid to compare and critique the adaptation, which is totally understandable. And in a way, assessing a literary adaptation is a good thing because you get to compare how people interpret things, how do they imagine things, and how they behave towards the story. Assessment will also help us validate whether our own understanding of the story in general is the same or different from other people. And in a way, we get to learn other people's perspective, same as they also learn from us.
Senior High School on Air.
Senior High School on Air. The front line of quality and excellent learning.
Excellent learning. You have all the best of the best.
Best of the best of the
Sa
best.
madaling umaga, handa na ba kayong matuto?
Naghanda na po.
Reading and writing.
Pagbasa at pagsusuri ng teksto tungo sa pananaliksik.
Practical research 1.
English for academic and professional purposes.
Ability and statistics.
General Biology 2.
Disciplines and ideas in applied social sciences.
Cookery and more.
Senior High School, best of the best.
Best of the best of the best.
Hello there, senior high school learners! Congratulations for coming this far! You are now heading towards the last topic for the school year 2020-2021. I am your radio teacher, Ma'am Catherine, and together, let us all hold the red curtain to close the stage that shows you the important matters in your journey to the 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. Sit properly and gear up as we finally end your travel from lessons to lessons. Nourish your discovery of treasures and sustain your experience on the extraordinary adventures that you had for the whole quarter.
Alright!
I know you are too excited to end this subject, but wait, let us have a recap on the things you tackled on your previous lesson before we'll proceed to our discussion. Can you still recall the key points of what you've discussed? Alright, your learning cup were full from writing a close analysis and critical interpretation of various literary texts from all the continents of the world, up to comparing and contrasting the various 21st century literary genres and their elements, structures, and traditions from across the globe, and finally producing a creative representation of a literary text by applying multimedia and ICT skills. And speaking of the production of creative representation applying multimedia and ICT skills, let us check the short quiz you had from your last session. So, bring out your activity notes and honestly check your work. Will that be okay?
Alright!
Your previous quiz required you to write the words agree or disagree based from the statements that were read to you. So, let's start checking. Are you ready? For number 1, technology has influenced the evolution of literature and people's way of expression. This statement is correct. Therefore, the answer is agree. For number 2, the statement, 21st century literary genre didn't make a big impact in our society is incorrect. Therefore, the answer is disagree. For number 3, the 21st century literature uses graphics and animations. This statement is correct. Therefore, the answer is agree. For number 4, creativity is not necessary in making literary representations. This statement is incorrect. Therefore, the answer is disagree. And we are up for the last statement. Literary representation can be an expression of one's self. This statement is correct. Therefore, the answer is agree. Now I want you to count the number of correct answers that you got. Are you satisfied with your scores? I am sure you do, because mastering this topic will be your weapon to better understand our today's point of discussion. Do you have any idea about our today's lesson? If none, then I will give you time to scan your reference as we have this short reminder.
Hi! Ikaw si Mara, di ba? Yung laging nalilate sa klase? Ako si Gab. Bakit ka ba laging nalilate sa klase?
Kumikit kumulang 7 kilometro kasi ang nilalakad ko araw-araw papasok sa paaralan. Bukod pa ron, kailangan ko munang pakainin ng mga alaga naming hayop at papaliguan ng aking mga nakababatang kapatid na papasok din sa elementarya. Tuloy, lagi akong nahuhuli.
Pero lagi kitang nakikita sa pangalawang kanto ah. Gusto mo bang sumabay na lang sa tricycle namin araw-araw? Para hindi ka na rin mahuli sa klase. Hihintayin ka na lang namin sa tapat ng bahay para sabay na tayo. Ano, ayos ba?
Naku, totoo ba? Maraming salamat kung ganon. Sasabihan ko ang inay tungkol sa magandang balitang ito. Salamat ha! Ano nga ulit ang pangalan mo?
Gabriel.
Pagtutulungan ay pairalin, pagiging makasarili ay tuluyang limutin. Isang paalala mula sa DepEd at ng himpilang ito.
And we're back, senior high schoolers. How was your search for our today's lesson? Have you found it? Will you recite what you found? That's right! Today's lesson will help you evaluate a creative adaptation of a literary text using self and peer assessment based on rationalized criteria prior to your presentation. Sounds complicated, right? Don't you worry, because Teacher Kat will be here to make these things simple. Just focus listening, okay?
Alright.
Before we focus on the rationalized criteria that you need to deal with during the assessment phase, it is a must for you to review the key terms so that you will have a clear understanding in carrying out the process. I know you are already familiar with terms such as literary adaptation, literary text, as well as the terms peer assessment and self-assessment. But in this session, we'll try to explore more about these concepts. Are you ready to dig in? First of which is literary adaptation. It refers to adapting a literary source such as novel, short story, or poem to another genre or medium such as film, stage play, or video game. Examples of which are the novels Harry Potter and the Twilight Saga that were adapted into series of films. Can you also give your own example? Perfect! In the Philippine context, movies like Hello, Love, Goodbye, Diary ng Pangit, and Isang Daang Tula para kay Isabela were also examples of adaptations since they were all novels or books and were adapted to a movie using ICT and multimedia skills from one genre to another. If you are to make a music video based on a short story or poem, then you also do an adaptation of a literary text. You can also make a representation of video games or a recorded song and many more on your own, as long as creativity pushes you to achieve your goal. Do you agree with me? This time, let's have literary text. Literary text is a piece of written work such as a book or a poem, a commentary, story review, or a short story. Its primary function as a text is usually aesthetic, but it may also contain political messages or beliefs. What's the title of the story you read from Wattpad recently? Or what's the song that you just sang before listening to this episode? All those poems, songs, or stories refer to what is called as literary text. Sometimes this also refers to the content of the teaser that you watch from a Korean drama series or a text printed along the poster you see from Movie House or along with the book cover of novels from the libraries or bookshops. Was this concept clear to you, class? If yes, then let's be enlightened with the difference with self-assessment and peer assessment. Self-assessment is a process where you will be taught to assess your performance against predetermined standard criteria, and it involves you in goal setting and more informal, dynamic self-regulation and self-reflection. While peer assessment is the assessment of your own work by other students of the same status, and later both of you may do reflections by exchanging constructive feedbacks together. This type of assessment is valuable in helping you to learn from each other by listening, analyzing, and problem solving. It gives you the opportunity to encounter diversity in different ways, critique and judge, and be responsible for your own learning. Did you get the difference, my dear learners? Whether you'll take self-assessment or peer assessment, our goal is to promote learning by establishing an environment that could engage you and help you develop a sense of internal responsibility for your own learning. And as you perform your creative literary adaptations, I know you will try your best to be objective and be familiar with the criteria. And I am sure you will receive more benefits in doing this. And speaking of criteria, I will be sharing some key points to consider during the assessment process. This is a rubric that will surely guide you on how are you going to rate or assess yourselves and the work of your classmates rationally and without bias. Also, these key points will help you even during the production process prior to the presentation of your output. So, listen intently, okay? First point is the message or content of your output. Make sure that the message you want to give is clear, while your content must be accurate and presented in a logical sequence. The second point is the production quality. Since you will be tasked to apply your multimedia or ICT skills, then see to it that the visual images demonstrated excellent relevance to the music and lyrics. Third key point refers to creativity and originality. Make sure that your output exhibits an excellent showcase of your own work, perspective, and creativity through personal experiences and thoughtful observations based from the adapted literary text. Next key point is the organization, where you must excellently establish the continuity, timing, video effects, and impacts of your output. While the last thing that you have to consider is the entertainment value, ensuring that your creative adaptation is excellent, filled with wit, and fun to watch. From this rubric alone, I can already imagine that you're excited to perform the literary text adaptation that your teachers want you to create, be it in a short film or a music video, applying your multimedia and ICT skills. Always remember the underlying concepts in assessing your outputs and your peers' output with objectivity based on rationalized criteria. Also, Stick with how we define literary adaptation and literary text for you not to be focused along the process, okay?
Alright.
With that answer, I suppose you are now ready for a short quiz. But don't worry, let's have a short break for you to refresh your minds through these reminders.
Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. So today guys, mag-makeup tayo ng bonggang-bongga para pretty tayo everyday. Yes! So una, dapat nakapag-moisturizer na kayo. The next is foundation na. Tapos itago natin ang bakas ng nakaraan. Pag-concealer tayo. Then iset na natin ng powder. Ayan! Huwag kalimutan ng eyeshadow. Tay? Wala naman ako ginagawang masama. Ano bang mali sa pagiging masaya? Sa kung sino at ano ako? Ha? Ano ba? Ang pagiging lesbian, gay, bisexual o transgender ay hindi sakit at hindi namamana. Kusa itong pinili ng tao na kabilang dito bilang parte ng kanyang oryentasyon at ekspresyon ng sarili. Huwag nating hayaang mabuhay at manatili sa takot ang mga batang ito. Lahat tayo, ano man ang kulay o kasarian, ay pantay-pantay. Isang paalala mula sa kagawaran ng edukasyon at ng himpilang ito.
And we're back, senior high schoolers. Now, please bring out your activity notes as you perform our final activity. Just write true if you think the statement is correct, and false if the statement is incorrect. I will give you 5 seconds for you to answer. Will that be okay? That's the spirit. Then, let's have the first statement. Again, just write true or false. Peer assessment helps students develop their critical thinking skills. Again, peer assessment helps students develop their critical thinking skills. Is it true or false? For number 2, self-assessment encourages students to be more responsible for their own learning. Self-assessment encourages students to be more responsible for their own learning. Is it true or false? For number 3, self-assessment does not make students become more aware of their weaknesses and strengths. Self-assessment does not make students become more aware of their weaknesses and strengths. Is it true or false? For number 4, literary adaptation refers to adopting a literary source such as novel, short story, or poem to another genre or medium such as a film, stage play, or video game. Again, literary adaptation refers to adopting a literary source such as novel, short story, or poem to another genre or medium such as a film, stage play, or video game. Is it true or false? And for number 5, content and message. Production quality and creativity and originality are the only key points to consider in the production of creative literary adaptation from a literary text. Again, content and message, production quality, and creativity and originality are the only key points to consider in the production of creative literary adaptation from a literary text. Is it true or false? Are you done writing your answers? If yes, then we will immediately proceed with the checking part since this is already your last episode on air.
Wow!
The correct answer for item number 1 is true. Again, it is true. The second statement is correct. Therefore, the right answer is true. Again, it is true. Statement number 3 is incorrect. Therefore, the answer is false. Again, it is false. Item number 4 is a correct statement. Therefore, the answer is true. Again, it is true. While the last item is incorrect. Therefore, the answer is false. Again, it is false. How was the result of your quiz, my dear learners? I hope you are satisfied with your scores and you are all prepared in doing your self-assessment and peer assessment of the creative adaptation of a literary text that you are going to perform based on rationalized criteria prior to your presentation. Our time is up for today's episode. In case you have questions or clarifications regarding our today's topic, please feel free to ask your subject teacher so that your concerns will be addressed. Just be polite in asking, okay?
Alright.
That's all for today, my senior high school students. I hope you learned a lot. Till next time, my dear students. On behalf of Teacher Eileen Joy Mora, our script writer, and the SDO Isabela RBI production team, this is your radio teacher, Ma'am Catherine Joyce Lactao Cristobal, reminding you once again that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. We need to be responsible in keeping ourselves and others healthy at all times. Stay safe, everyone. Bye!
Ayun na, ayun na, ayun na, sa Radyo Eskwela. Ayun na, ayun na, ayun na, sa Radyo Eskwela.
Tayo na!
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon.
Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang may iwan.
Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela!